this amazing shit that's happening in the world. We're going to have free fucking energy. We're going to live forever. We're going to have all of this insane stuff that we never imagined, abundance and resources that we could never contemplate, happiness, spending time with family, working less hours, robots that build shit for us. Everything is going to get better. Everything is getting better. Everything is getting more amazing. And then we're like, let's fuck ourselves. Like, why not? Because we'll just fuck ourselves.
Don't shoot the messenger, but your life and mine will witness times where there will be 20, 30, 50% unemployment in certain sectors, maybe even more. This is the very first time in ever that the episode of history where humanity was the smartest being on the planet ends.
Same data, completely different conclusions. By the end of this video, I'm going to show you exactly what the numbers say and tell you exactly who is right. The answer surprised me. If you are not subscribed to this channel, subscribe and like this video. We do this every week. Let's get into it. Let's hear the full Optimist case first. David Friedberg is a serial entrepreneur and one of the clearest thinkers in technology today. Here his core argument.
All technology shifts go through a phase of diffusion, meaning they have to start somewhere. It's not like we turn on a switch and suddenly everyone can build an Etsy store or a Shopify store. Like, that's not how the internet started, with everyone suddenly benefiting from being able to be an entrepreneur online. It took a couple of generations of technology diffusion before the idea of Shopify and the high-speed internet all over the country got everywhere and people could actually stand up a Shopify store and run it. The first people on the internet, the first businesses that stood up did very well. And so the technology started centrally, but then, you know, initially people were like, oh my God, Cisco's going to dominate the world, right? Like, Cisco's got the switches that make the internet switch. That's the technology that's going to, those guys that own Cisco, those guys are going to run the world. This is not fair. Like, they're going to control everything. This is crazy. Nowadays, it's NVIDIA to some degree, it's Google. But like, eventually every technology commoditizes. That's what's so amazing about technology, is it like, it's always diffusing. Like, this new innovation finds its way out. Like, we've already seen in just the last couple of weeks, this insane shift in AI where people don't have to run models in the cloud anymore. They can run models on their desktop at home. People think it's like the companies, the corporations will have all the robots and the corporations will replace all the people. Like, but why can't everyone have a robot? Meaning, why can't someone put a robot in their garage? And this robot can do anything. It works 24 hours a day. That robot's now your employee. And you can say to the robot in the garage, hey, I want to make a bicycle shop. I want to make custom bicycles that are really cool. They're like chrome and people can, you know, kind of tweak them online and make all these different versions of bicycles. And then the robot will build the bicycle. So you can stand up a Shopify store or an Etsy store or whatever, sell bicycles, and your robot will make them for you. You don't even have to know how to make bicycles. The robot will order all the parts. It'll order all the machinery it needs. It'll run the robot bike shop in your garage, and it'll make bikes, and it'll package them up and ship them out for you. When you think about it in that context, which is that this diffusion of technology enables everyone to get value from it, so everyone will have a robot, everyone will be able to have a small business. It's like, imagine back in the day, 20, 30 years ago, if you told people, hey, everyone can have an Etsy store, now all of the knitting you're doing at home you can sell and you can make 50 grand a year, no one would have believed you. But it's like, now you can do that. I'm pretty optimistic, as history being a predictor here, that the diffusion of these technologies will unlock value for every human on Earth.
A compelling case. The historical record backs it. But there is a man who spent 20 years inside AI, and he's seeing something that Friedberg is not counting for. Gawdat was chief business officer at Google X. He has watched AI develop from the inside for over a decade. His concern is not science fiction, it's structural economics.
The capitalists that are celebrating the productivity gains are not realizing that, one, without consumption, there is no economy. So even if you can have all of the productivity gains in the world, by firing people consistently, nobody's able to buy what you're making. So We're going to have to find an economic model that works with that. Wealth is going to have very little meaning for most of us in a few years' time. The very base of capitalism, which is labor arbitrage, to hire you for $1 and then sell what you make for $2, is going to disappear. So there is no arbitrage anymore because basically machines are building everything for no cost at all. But my prediction is that we will go through a dystopian near-term future led by the evil of humanity. We're going to go through wars that have autonomous weapons. We're going to go through redefinitions of economic markets that will shift wealth upwards and leave so many of us jobless. We're going to go through oppressions of freedom, high surveillance societies. We're going to go through an erasure of reality and the ability to recognize what is true and what is fake, which will impact human connection in ways that we've never seen before. Think of the advantage that China had, economically, where they had cheaper labor. If that shifts into a world where labor is literally one capex, where you buy a robot or a lease on that robot, which now is down to $9,000 a pop. It's now just a question of how clever that robot is, which is going to advance with time, like the law of accelerating returns of every technology. And then you're in a place where making things costs close to zero. Anyone with an understanding of supply and demand basically means that the price of things accordingly is going to drop to zero as well. So the entire capitalist model has to be rethought.
Which of them is right? Before I give you the answer, we need to have a look what the actual number say. And one of the number really surprised me. Here, what the number actually show right now.
London's unemployment has almost doubled in under 2 years, hitting 7.9%. For young people, that number is spiking even faster. Across the broader UK economy, nearly 100,000 payroll jobs vanished last year alone. And in the United States, the wealth gap is the widest it has been since the 1920s. The top 1% now hold the record 31.7% of all wealth, exactly matching the entire bottom 90% combined.
But this raises the question that neither of them are answering. Will the Jevons Paradox save us? This is the historical data that as technology makes tasks cheaper, demand explodes, creating more work. Just like we saw when AI failed to replace radiologists, and instead demand for them grew. Is Jevons Paradox going to save us?
That 10 years later, not only have radiologists not gone extinct, but we actually are training more of them than we were when Hinton made that statement. So is that because AI failed? No, AI is actually doing amazing things now that we couldn't imagine a decade ago. Part of the answer lies in this thing called Jevons Paradox. Let's take a look at that and see what it is. Way back in 1865, while studying coal use in England, a guy named William Stanley Jevons observed that more efficient steam engines reduced the amount of coal needed to power them. So you might think demand for coal would go down, but the opposite occurred. More industries turned to using this more efficient energy source to get more things done, and total coal consumption actually rose instead of falling. In other words, as efficiency went up, costs went down, and demand increased. That's Jevons Paradox in a nutshell. Rather than fewer jobs overall, Jevons Paradox would indicate that what we would have would be fewer of these routine, low discretion roles and more of the high context, high accountability roles, such as problem framing and goal setting, things where we need a human in the loop to do the decision making, AI supervision, evaluation, and governance, customer-facing roles where trust matters, and we need something with an emotional intelligence as well, and then the ability to do cross-functional coordination. So think of it this way. AI reduces the labor required per task, but dramatically expanding what is economically feasible to do.
The historical evidence is strong, but past transition took decades. The immediate question is not the long run, it's what we do with the displaced people right now, before these new jobs even exist. But here is the question that both Friedberg and Mo are not fully answering. There is a man who has spent 15 years studying economic collapses. His framework changed the entire picture, and his warning is not primarily about AI at all. Ray Dalio founded Bridgewater Associates, the world's largest hedge fund. 50 years study economic cycles. His framework introduced a third variable that neither Friedberg and Mo are accounting for. Dalio described the big debt cycle. Typically around 75 years, economies expand as credit grows faster than income. Eventually, debt becomes unsustainable. The result? A painful correction. US national debt crossed 38 trillion in late 2025. The government is spending 40% more than it takes in. Here is the uncomfortable third option. What if the current economic pain is driven primarily by the debt cycle, and the AI is accelerating, not causing it? History gives us a precedent. The 1930s were catastrophic. They precede the greatest economic expansion in modern history. Dalio himself, 2026 pain could seed 2040 prosperity.
And I juxtapose that with my optimism about the future and this amazing shift. Think about it. Like, this amazing shift that's happening in the world. We're going to have free fucking energy. We're going to live forever. We're going to have all of this insane stuff that we never imagined, abundance and resources that we could never contemplate, happiness, spending time with family, working less hours, robots that build shit for us. Everything is going to get better. Everything is getting better. Everything is getting more amazing. That's the choice we have right now, is do we want to walk this path of abundance, or do we want to lock ourselves up?
It's going to take a couple of generations, but just like Generation Z today doesn't really want to work, the following generations will go like, what was that ancient idea? Where did that come from? We have to understand that we're now in such a pivotal shift in human history. The only times where humanity has made a big change to collaborate instead of compete was either mutually assured destruction or mutually assured prosperity. And it's really stupid in my mind that we can't see that we are heading into a direction where the total abundance will lead to one of those.
Two men who agree on the destination, but they are completely disagreeing on the path. I told you at the beginning that I had an answer, and here it is. Here is the answer, and I warn you, it will be complicated. In the short term, 2 to 5 years, Mo is closer to correct. The data does not lie. Unemployment is rising. The wealth gap is at 35 years record. Entry-level and graduate work are disappearing faster than new categories. And this is happening before the truly transformative wave of AI is happening. What we are seeing now is the early wave of disruption, not the peak.
Your life and mine will witness times where there will be 20, 30, 50% unemployment in certain sectors, maybe even more.
In the medium and long term, 5 to 15 years, Friedberg is almost certainly closer to correct. The historical precedent for Jevons Paradox is overwhelming. Every previous general-purpose technology created more work than it destroyed over a 10-20 years horizon. AI is a general purpose technology. The diffusion curve will pay out.
That the diffusion of these technologies will unlock value for every human on Earth. And it's really just a function of at what point and at what point of value.
And Dalio adds the context that both of them are missing. We are simultaneously in the late stage of the biggest debt cycle in modern history. This is what major correction looks like before they reset. The pain may be through the cycle, not a permanent new baseline. Right now, the data say we are on track with more vision. In the short term, the path to Friedberg version does not happen automatically. It requires choices, policy choices, business choices, individual choices. The question, who capture the productivity gain, determine which future we actually get.
If we can change people's aperture a bit and get them to be optimistic instead of pessimistic and see how promising tomorrow is and not need to feel sheltered and, taken care of, and fundamentally creating a burden to these bigger social systems, these governmental type systems, people, I think, might change their view. I'm hopeful. That's why we're having this conversation. But that's the sort of thing that I think we need to be doing, is showing people all the amazing shit that's happening and how much it's going to benefit you and how crazy awesome it is. And you're going to be able to spend more time with your kids. The cost of food's going down. The cost of energy is going to go down. We're all going to have robots that can build stuff for us, and you're going to be able to spend more time with your family, on and on and on. Housing needs to get cheap. But fighting against these things is just so, it's so crazy.
Your purpose was never to work, honestly. This is the capitalist lie that they told me, okay? That I was born to wake up every morning, to work really hard for labor arbitrage so someone else makes the money, or to be the one, the capitalist that abuses everyone so that I make the money. I don't want to subscribe to either of those. I think humanity was built to live, to connect, to love, to reflect, to research, to discuss philosophy. And we've just completely forgotten that. It's a transition where eventually I think we're all going to be forced to go back there.
Two men who disagree on almost everything in the short term, both who end up in the same place when they express what they actually want for humanity. That tension between what's coming in the short term and what's possible in the long term is what this channel is about. So subscribe and don't miss any of this video. Drop a comment below. Who do you think is right? Friedberg abundance or more warning? Drop your comment below and subscribe for the next one. See you soon. Bye bye.